The tale starts in a calm animal rescue center. Within, a tiny tortoise sits isolated in a glass tank, hardly stirring, as though resigned to its destiny. That's where we encounter Mabel, a restless, impulsive girl with a deep passion for creatures. There's something unique about her. She doesn't merely care, she experiences everything intensely. When she gazes at the tortoise, she doesn't view a pet, she perceives something confined. She leans nearer, and murmurs softly that she's going to free it from there. And without pause, she does. Mabel gently takes the tortoise, and conceals it inside her backpack. But as she strolls through the shelter, she notices the other creatures, confined, quiet, waiting. Something within her breaks. One by one, she begins releasing them too, unable to disregard what she believes is unjust. For her, it's not naughtiness, it's fairness. But things rapidly spiral out of hand. Staff members rush in, alarms sound, disorder erupts. Mabel panics, but refuses to surrender. She fights back, even biting someone who attempts to grab her bag. In the scuffle, items shatter, and the situation becomes hazardous. Eventually she's held back, and her mother is summoned. Her mother arrives, visibly worn out and irritated. This isn't the first occasion Mabel has caused mischief. With no tolerance remaining, she reaches a verdict. Mabel will reside with her grandmother. Unlike everyone else, her grandmother doesn't respond with fury. She's serene, composed, and possesses a quiet power. She informs Mabel that she's been disciplined again, but rather than scolding her more, she invites her to come along. Initially, Mabel resists, but something about her grandmother's presence causes her to follow. They reach a tranquil natural spot. Her grandmother asks her to sit, remain still, and observe. No chatting, no responding, simply watch. Reluctantly, Mabel complies. Gradually, the world surrounding her starts to unfold. Ducks float across the water with their ducklings. Deer move cautiously through the trees. Birds traverse the sky in flawless formation. Beavers labor endlessly, constructing and molding their surroundings. For the first time, Mabel isn't attempting to meddle. She's merely present. Her grandmother softly clarifies that this place is unique, a place of harmony where everything has a purpose. She names it the clearing, and she tells Mabel that regardless of what occurs in life, this place will forever be hers, a sanctuary she can return to. From that point forward, the clearing becomes everything to Mabel. Over the years, she devotes countless hours there with her grandmother. They aid injured creatures, plant new growth, read about nature, and merely exist in unity with the world surrounding them. It transforms into a place of tranquility, development, and affection. But time never pauses. Years go by, and eventually Mabel stands alone before her grandmother's portrait. She's departed. The grief is heavy, but what follows is even worse. When Mabel returns to the clearing, she discovers it enclosed, surrounded by construction machinery. Authorities are getting ready to demolish it to build a highway. Her safe haven is about to vanish. Resolved to halt it, Mabel confronts Mayor Jerry. The two collide immediately. This isn't their first dispute. Mabel has consistently opposed him. Attempting to remove her, Jerry strikes a bargain. If she can collect enough signatures within 48 hours, he'll reconsider the project. It's a nearly unattainable task, but Mabel attempts anyway. She goes door to door, fervently explaining why the clearing is important. But people don't pay attention. Some disregard her, some brush her off, and others don't even answer the door. In one instance, an elderly man mistakes her for a helper and has her do chores, only to jot down groceries instead of signing her petition. Time expires, not a single signature. And just like that, hope starts to dwindle. Desperate, Mabel turns to someone she relies on, Dr. Sam, her former teacher. Calm and rational, the doctor explains the grim truth. The animals departed the clearing long ago. The ecosystem crumbled, and the solution to restoring it rests with one species, the beaver. If even one beaver comes back, the balance can begin anew. The other animals will follow, and without that balance, the mayor will have no justification to halt construction. That single idea rekindles Mabel's resolve. She sets out to locate a beaver. She waits for hours, leaving food and hoping for a miracle, and eventually, one shows up. Small, wary, but genuine. But before she can get close, everything shifts. A dark vehicle speeds in and seizes the beaver right before her eyes. Without hesitation, Mabel pursues it on her scooter. The chase leads her to a restricted facility, where she witnesses something unbelievable. The beaver enters the building as though it belongs there, as if it's part of the system. Inside, Mabel uncovers the truth. The beaver is a robot. Dr. Sam reveals the existence of a covert project called Hoppers, a system where human consciousness gets transferred into robotic animals, enabling scientists to study wildlife from the inside. It's revolutionary, it's potent, and it's perilous. When Mabel requests help to save the clearing, the doctor declines. The project isn't designed for interference, it's designed for observation. But Mabel doesn't accept that. Driven by emotion, by memory, and by her vow to her grandmother, she makes a risky choice. She activates the system herself. Moments later, she awakens inside the robotic beaver. At first, everything feels strange. Her body doesn't react the way she anticipates. Movements are awkward. The environment feels intense, and almost instantly, she encounters danger. An owl swoops down, seizes her, and carries her into the sky. She struggles frantically, panicking until she finally escapes and crashes into the forest below. Rattled, but alive, she starts to adjust. For the first time, she isn't observing nature, she's part of it. Eventually, she arrives at a pond where animals from various species coexist under strict rules. This is where she meets George, a charming and somewhat eccentric beaver who calls himself king. George explains the system they live by. Everyone must know each other, survival comes first, and regardless of what happens, they must safeguard the balance. It's a tough world, but it functions. Mabel explains her mission and pleads with George to send a beaver back to the clearing, but George refuses. He explains that a mysterious sound once drove all the animals away. It was unbearable, continuous, and impossible to ignore. That's why they left, and why they'll never go back. Mabel realizes this is the real issue. Resolved to solve it, she investigates. Climbing higher and exploring further, she eventually finds a concealed structure, a device generating a powerful sound designed specifically to repel animals. During a struggle to escape, the structure gets destroyed, and suddenly, everything turns silent. The change is instant, the tension vanishes, the animals sense it too. For the first time in years, there is calm. They celebrate, and with hope renewed, they start rebuilding the clearing together. What was once deserted gradually returns to life, lively, vibrant, and full of energy. It's everything Mabel wished for. But her actions carry consequences. When she attempts to involve the Animal Council to ensure the clearing's future, things go terribly wrong. Her explanation gets misinterpreted, and instead of cooperation, the council decides that the human responsible must be eliminated. Mayor Jerry becomes their target. Mabel is appalled. That was never her intention. Chaos ensues, conflict breaks out. A leader falls, and a new force emerges, Titus, the insect king, fueled by anger and a craving for revenge. Overwhelmed, Mabel begins to lose hope. She feels like everything she attempts to fix only worsens things. But George reminds her of something crucial. Even when things break, they can be mended. Meanwhile, Titus intensifies the situation even more. He seizes control of Mayor Jerry's body, and plans to use the same sound technology not just on animals, but on humans too. Now, everything hangs in the balance. In a surprising twist, Mabel and Jerry are compelled to collaborate. Despite their differences, they realize that the only way forward is teamwork. In the final showdown, Mabel doesn't depend on force. Instead, she attempts something different: comprehension. She speaks to Titus, trying to reach the part of him that still feels something. It's not simple, but it creates a moment. Together, they manage to stop him and undo the damage. But the aftermath brings a new danger. A massive fire erupts, spreading swiftly through the forest and toward the city. This time, survival depends on unity. Animals of every species come together. Under George's leadership, they coordinate, bringing water, working as one. Even natural enemies set aside their differences. Gradually, the flames are contained. The forest is saved, the city is saved, and balance is restored. In the end, Mayor Jerry transforms. He finally comprehends the consequences of his actions, and decides to halt the highway project. Instead, the clearing is preserved as a protected natural reserve. Mabel, having matured through everything she experienced, chooses a new direction. She joins Dr. Sam to work on more responsible and ethical projects. And although she can no longer truly communicate with George, their bond remains. In the final moments, Mabel returns to the clearing. She sits in the same spot where she once sat with her grandmother. The air is peaceful, the world is alive, and for the first time in a long while, she feels at peace.